What's up, guys and gals? How's it going? So, we've got a lot to talk about today, and I'm super excited about this. I probably couldn't be more excited about this. Happy Homebrew Wednesday, by the way. Today, we've got the log beer, or the beer that we fermented with this log. Okay, so let's give it a pour, shall we? Nice carbonation. Oh my goodness. This is a beautiful beer. So, on brew day, this is an all grain beer. Okay, on brew day, actually let's taste it and then we'll talk about it. Cheers, guys. It's so tart and refreshing. And before we start talking about, wild ales today, since this was a spontaneous fermentation, I thought it would be a little bit spontaneous and come out here in the nature, out in my side yard, and talk about this thing and enjoy it together. That's what friends are for. That's what beers are for. So, this is an all grain beer, like I said. On brew day, I think I used maybe 10 pounds of Pilsen malt. And then, I think Mosaic hops. Yeah, only an ounce total of Mosaic hops. I read that the more hops you add, the more you cut down on those like sour, funky notes. I didn't want to cut them out, so I just didn't add that many hops to this brew. Okay. Gosh, it's so nice. Very heavily carbonated, which I love. It's a very light drinker. And it smells sour. And it's got a little bit of sourness to it. I would say it's tart without being overwhelming. I'm very pleasantly surprised, let me say that. When I popped that bucket open to bottle it after 3 weeks of fermenting, I was a little leery because of the smell. And I can still smell what I smelled before, but it's a little refined now. I will say, when I popped up, this is not my first bottle of this. When I popped open a bottle of it to begin with, I was not excited about drinking it. But I took a good taste, gave a few away. My friends said they'd buy it. And frankly, I would too. I don't like, sours or funky beers very often. But man, once in a blue moon, no pun intended, I love a good sour beer. And, I have to, full disclosure, I made 5 gallons of it, but because of that smell, which I expected, I only bottled a 6-pack. So, what did I dump? Like over 4 gallons of this stuff? I'd like to have that one back. But I will say, what I would have liked less than losing 4 gallons would have been to bottle like 40 bottles of it and then think it sucked. So I just cut my losses on this one, and it makes it even more special not having a whole lot of it. So I sip on one every now and then. This is my last one. Okay, I gave a couple away. My brother came over and drank like 3 of them. And I'm happy he didn't take the last one home with him, or we wouldn't be having this video right now. Okay, so sour beers, let's talk for just a second. And not really sour beers necessarily, but wild ales. Beer that's been spontaneously fermented. I've got the Beer Bible right here by Jeff Alworth. It says the category of wild ales includes any beer that derives its central character from wild yeast and bacteria. Okay, there's no boundaries of color or strength, and many wild ales following the tradition of sour fruit beers of Belgium are made with fruit. Okay, so there's no real style guidelines as far as I can tell, but that it was made with wild yeast. Okay, and I just read, you know, I've talked about it before when we brewed this thing, based on the recipe by Daily Crafting. Wood is a good medium for yeast. So yeast likes to live in wood. So it's not the log that fermented it, obviously. It was the yeast that lives inside the log. Now you can find yeast, wild yeast, you know, that's been cultured and that comes from a lab, and you can pour that into your beer and essentially make the same thing. But the route we did, you know, was a little bit different. And I have to say, for having this in a bucket for a few days, this beer's phenomenal. I love it. I actually love it. Man, so it's great. Just carrying this log around all day with me. So I was doing some reading, and besides the Beer Bible over here, I found this other article that said funk. So the difference between a funk and a tart flavor. Funk and tart are fellow travelers on the same road, but they aren't the same flavors. Which of the two are present and which predominates is often a function of which wild strain we use. Okay, so the strains I got were just because I was in southern Oklahoma and found this log. If you were in North Dakota and found a log, it's very likely your beer would taste very different. I read that a wild beer, a wild ale, does not have to be sour or funky, but it can be one or the other. Because we haven't sent this to a lab, we don't know what this yeast has in it. Okay, mine just happened. I wouldn't call this funky, but it's definitely tart. Okay, and it's definitely refreshing. I would recommend this to anyone. I mean, the guys at Clawhammer said that theirs didn't start tasting good until week 3. So I didn't taste mine along the way. I just let it go for 3 weeks, banged it into the bottles, let it sit for 3 more weeks to condition. So this beer right now is about 6 weeks old. Okay, and I have to say that it's lovely. One thing I haven't talked about on this channel before that I want to address is glassware. Okay, how and why did I choose the tulip, what's it called? The tulip glass for today. I found this sheet, and I'll put it up on the screen, from craftbeer.com, and it says that wild or sour beers can be drank out of a tulip glass, a Pilsner flute glass, or a snifter. Okay, I don't have a Pilsner flute or a snifter, so obviously I just went with the tulip. The things those glasses all have in common, according to this chart, are sensory enhancement, right? Which is categorized by, it says the shape or top of the glass may be open or closed to expand or restrict exposure to volatile aroma compounds. So keeping stuff in or keeping stuff out. Temp control. The shape of the glass can encourage or discourage exposure to body temp. Okay, so the stem is supposed to keep your hand away from this, which I haven't been paying attention to, and keep it from getting warm. And then aesthetics, which is obviously just eye-catching beauty, according to this chart. Okay, So all of those things, but I definitely wanted to kick up the sensory enhancement of this because number one, it's my last one. And number two, I would actually call it beautiful. You know, it reminds me of like the French or something like that. It's very delicate and it seems like a sipper. Where most beers I have, I just, you know, they're gone. This, it makes me want to enjoy it because of its characteristics and its qualities. So that's why I chose the tulip glass for today. There's a lot of good glassware charts on the internet. I found a lot of them. Just Google, what do I drink an IPA out of? Or what do I drink a lager out of? Half the time I'm piddling around in the garage and the answer is the can. Okay. But if you want to choose the right glass according to the style, just Google it. Craftbeer.com, like I said, has a good chart right here. Okay, so I'm gonna keep enjoying this. The other thing I want to talk about is support small business, support local. You've probably been hearing it a lot these days. It's more important now than ever with the virus going on to support your small businesses. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm sure. It's small businesses that keep our towns and our cities so spicy. You know? All these chain restaurants we all have, you can find some literal spice there. But man, the little idiosyncrasies and the thing that makes cities so unique is often their local businesses and their small businesses. Am I wrong? So, what I did, I saw something on Twitter a while back. It was a post from these guys. Keep it local, okay. And I ordered this shirt from them because I love it. And because I really want to send the message these days that our small businesses and our local shops are important. And if I'm gonna go order takeout from Chili's, why not order takeout from Hopscotch instead? The food is way better. A lot of times, it's because I don't think about, you know, the small businesses that are out there. But I guarantee it, there are restaurants around here that I know of that I like way better than Chili's. So why just drive down the street to Chili's? And I'm not bashing Chili's because I love Chili's. But it stands as a representation for all corporations. Why not shop local instead? You know, especially during these times when those guys need it and need our support. Okay, and on top of that, they sent me a pencil. They sent me stickers, which if you're a beer person, craft beer person, home brewer, we all love our stickers, right? And then this thank you card, which they didn't have to do. And they certainly didn't have to handwrite. They sent me a handwritten thank you card. And I love it. And I do wear this shirt with pride. Okay? So, keep it local, okay. If you don't live in Oklahoma, there are a lot of other organizations that support local businesses in your area. I'm sure. Look them up, find them. If not, just support local, shop local. Instead of going to Walmart, maybe go to the shop that makes yarn and buy your yarn there instead. Okay? Man, I've been so busy lately. Besides the brewing stuff, the cream ale is currently still in primary fermentation. The coconut cream ale. Okay, here in about a week, I'm going to put it in the secondary. I've pretty much decided I'm going to put it onto a pound of coconut and split a vanilla bean and drop one vanilla bean in there. Let it chill like that for about a week. And then I will keg it. And again, that'll be the first beer I keg. Super pumped about that. The Raspberry Golden Ale, which was the 1 gallon Brewer's Best kit, is in the closet right now. It's looking great. I can't wait to add that raspberry flavoring and bottle it and drink that right here. Okay, can't wait. I've had a lot of other projects going on. I'm not a carpenter, but my father-in-law and I just built a fence last weekend because our old one was falling down. Still need to add some, you know, put some stain on it. It'd make it look a lot better. But I was very happy with the way that came out. You know, that fence has been falling down since I moved in here. So that's awesome. Been doing some yard work. If any of y'all have ever sodded your yard, put, you know, the rolls of strips of sod down. I did something in my dad's yard a few years ago that I decided to do here, okay? So instead of sodding the whole yard, or instead of putting strips down around the edges and letting it spread, I basically plugged it. So I implanted sod into the yard. I took a flat shovel and just basically skimmed the top off the dirt, or, you know, the topsoil, took the top layer of grass off, and then I cut little squares, shovel-sized squares of sod from the strips, and then just plugged all down the yard. It looks kind of strange right now, but when I did this in my dad's yard, it spread, they reached out to each other, and now it's the best looking part of his yard. Okay, so it looks like I've got a checkerboard going on in my front and backyards right now. A pallet of sod goes a long way, I will say that. I got a little bit more than I bargained for, but now that it's done, I'm keeping water on it. We've had some good rainfall lately in OKC, so I haven't had to water in a few days, but it'll green up, it'll spread out, and we'll have a yard we can be proud of, okay? It's just kind of abruptly came to an end, this Homebrew Wednesday. Man, you know, guys, this is the last of it. I asked Kyle that question on National Homebrew Day. Watch the video if you haven't. Kyle's a good cat, cool guy. I said, how do you properly enjoy something, you know, that you know this is the last? All you can do is drink it, right? So that's what we're gonna do. We're going to drink mindfully and in full realization that this is the last, and I think that's the best we're gonna be able to do. This is definitely a pinky up beer. You know, guy orders a glass of wine over here. Guy orders a beer over here. The guy who orders this, sitting right in the middle, can talk to both of them. Because it is a beer, but I can't even fully describe it to you. It's like a crispy boy with some tart, and that makes it a sipper. So you can talk to the beer guy, but you can also talk to the wine guy without him. He might look down his nose, but I feel like a tart beer is kind of sophisticated. So we'll go with that. And my, oh my, I just can't believe this was floating in it. Cannot believe it. And will I make it again? Maybe. Maybe. If I do, I guarantee you, I won't be dumping 4 gallons down the yard drain. I guarantee I'm gonna bottle it all. And if you make this, just trust it, okay? I mean, there is a high level of trust, I feel like, taking that first sip. But beyond that, trust that it'll be good, and collect it all, package it all, keg it, bottle it, whatever you're doing. Keep it, because it's gonna be good, okay? If you haven't seen my making the log beer video, go check that out. I talk more about this process in that video, okay? And as always, you know, make sure you like, subscribe, comment below. I love to hear from you guys, okay? And happy Homebrew Wednesday. We'll see you next time. Last drink ever. For now. For now. It's not goodbye. It's see you later. Cheers, guys.